Hello everyone! We will create such a complex material from scratch. Well, let's go. First of all, I create a folder for new material and sign it to understand what it is. I go inside. What textures did I use? There were 3 textures and they were downloaded from polygon.com. In the last part, I showed what these textures are. I will find the originals of these textures now. Open source location. Next, I'll use ambient occlusion for the bump texture for the relief. And from that texture, I will convert it to normal bump. Next comes the color, texture and glossiness. So I pick these 3 textures and then drag and drop them into a new folder, either here or you can drop them into the structure like this. That's all. Now they will be transferred, you just can't see how the importing process is going because the folder is blocking your view. As soon as the objects are imported, we will instantly see them here. And after that, we will create a material. We will immediately throw the resulting textures into a new material. We right-click, Material, and sign that this is material, base, our parent, and also indicate that this is a floor right away. Next, we open the resulting material, move our scroll, and immediately throw our textures into the workspace. Texture samples are created optimally and automatically. But we don't need this optimality. We need each texture to be replaceable so that we can change it. Let's say we want to create another material. For example, not a nut, but an oak, solid oak, and we just load new textures. That's great. How to do it? We don't need texture sample. We need to choose Convert to Parameter. And we sign here that this is a diffuse texture. Next, we have glossiness. We immediately sign that we will have it. Yes, first, we are converting to a parameter. And I'm wondering why it doesn't convert to a parameter. So, first we convert to a parameter, and that will be texture roughness. Okay, done. We'll come back to this texture later. We need it. Not texture sample, but to convert from a conventional diffuse map to a normal bump, we need a certain node. But I'll come back to this later, so as not to interrupt my explanation. Now I'll quickly explain the logic, but you can find more details in the first part. We right-click to enter multiply here, or we press and hold M. This is a hotkey, and left-click, we have the node that we need. Passing multiplication through this node, that is, the multiply function. We press S, so we create a control parameter and type in albedo here. Albedo means there is a diffuse map, in this case, lighter or darker. So we connect the control parameter called albedo to the indicator B. These are the actions we will continue to do. We will load some nodes, connect maps and parameters to them. Now, what is albedo doing? Look, now there is 0. 0 means black. Black is mixed with the texture and we get black color. If it's more than 0, then the texture will become lighter. If the default value is set to 1, it means that this texture will be unchanged. But in order for our texture to appear, we need to connect this tweak to the base color. That's it. We connected it. Now it's going to be the original color. Already loaded, right? We go to albedo, then I can set, for example, more than 1, and the texture will become lighter. Do you see what's happening here? If the value is 0, then it will be completely black, as I said. If a little more than 0, or any value higher than 0, but lower than 1, then it will be darker than the original texture. When the value is 0.5, for example, it will be twice darker. A value of 1 is the original color. More than 1 means lighter than the original. Next, when we increase the lightness of the textures, they become more saturated. That is, the saturation is increased. To compensate for this, I create a desaturation node. I connect indicator A in multiply coherently and hold down S and click the left button. This will be a controllable parameter, and it will desaturate or control the saturation of the light. Therefore, I type in saturation texture. Now we attach it to fraction and connect this branch to base color. When you work in a team, in order for your colleagues to easily understand how you created the material, as well as to make it to manage and change this material, you need to select the desired branch, then press C and sign Diffuse. That's all, we signed it. Now we go to Texture Roughness. We will have an area and a group, a reflect category, and we will operate completely uneven reflections using roughness card. But first, let's run the roughness through a few nodes. The first thing we need to do: firstly, I will maximize the window. Secondly, I will hold the right button and then move my mouse closer to our sphere to get a closer look at the maps and the scale of our material. And after that, right-click Start Previewing node. So what's happening here? We do not see the material in general, but the separate texture. In this case, this is a texture roughness. Now I want to invert it. For this we have a node called 1-. So we enter here 1-, and here it is, and then we pass the texture through this node. Well, let's see what this will affect. Look, our streaks are black now. This is the original texture, passing through inversion node. What we have now? We have a Start Previewing node. Our streaks turned white. That is, the color has inverted. Now I'll do next. I need a function or a checkbox so we can switch between inverted map and the original map. To be able to switch between two types of shaders, metalness and glossiness. For this there is such a node called switch. We need static switch parameter. It will switch metalness on and off. So we attach the inverted map to the true indicator, and after that we need to manage the switch. As always, we hold down M, left click, and multiply appears here. Next we have a controlled parameter. We hold down S, then left click, and here we'll have glossiness. But this is, if I may say so, such a blend between glossiness and metalness. Ignore these parameters. Electrics, dielectrics, metalness or glossiness, these are types of shaders. The most important thing here is that we need to focus on parameters that will change so that we can easily get the material we need in 2 clicks. In general, we connect the A indicator to B, and then we connect the inversion to A, and finally, this small structure we connect to false, and then here, and now we can manage the inversion and its blending. That is, we can say that this is a type of shader, glossiness, metalness, and we can operate them. Next we need to make this texture more contrasting to control the reflections. The streaks will be more or less prominent. For that we have a cool node called Cheap Contrast. Here it is at the top. Here, to the In indicator, we connect metalness, and we will control the contrast as usual with a controllable parameter that will be called roughness contrast. That's it, we did it and connected it to the appropriate input. That's great. So now we have two parameters. The first parameter, which inverts our original texture, and the second parameter, which controls the contrast. And the third parameter, for this we hold down M and left click. This is lightness of our roughness. Then we press S. This is our control, a parameter that will control the lightness of our texture. So we will have it. And let's sign it for ourselves, just to understand in parameters, roughness, intensity. Next we connect the parameter to B, then we connect our chain to A, and after that we connect our entire structure to roughness. So now let's move this whole structure like this. Here we press C, reflect. Done. I'm just trying to make the structure a little better, so that you can understand what is where. Now we need metallic and specular. Using the usual parameters, let's control, and therefore it will be metallic. Next, using Ctrl plus W, we copy this and it will be specular. We connect to the appropriate input, right? Now everything is ready here, but if we forget something, we will just return it anytime, set it to parent, our changes will be transferred to all instances. Normal from height map node doesn't work with texture sample. What we can do next? Let's find this texture by clicking on the magnifying glass icon. It will be selected in the content browser of the project, and after that we will write normal from height map. Look, normal from height map is the node that makes normal bump out of a conventional texture. Yes, that's all. But we won't be able to connect the texture sample. Look, that's it, you can't. What will we do? We select one more time. Found this texture, and now we find the texture object parameter. Done. This will be our bump texture. That is, we can change this texture later and connect it to height map. Why did we select this texture? When the certain texture is selected, when creating a new node, the selected texture is applied to this node. But we could, for example, do this. Select this texture and then click like this. Or just drag and drop it, no difference, it's just faster as I showed. Next, we hold down S and left click. This will be bump intensity. We connect bump intensity to normal map intensity. That's it. Our mission regarding normal is complete. Normal will be converted from color or black and white texture, it doesn't matter, to bump. So we select our branch and click C, then sign bump. After that, we connect this branch to normal. That's all, done. Let's move it to make it clearer. Now we have a little more to do. This is the scale of our texture so that we can control our texture, but we'll also add rotation here. But first I want to say about a very important point. Look, now I will right click and select Start Previewing Node to show the normal texture. You see? Now the texture itself is not visible, no normal. In order for this texture to appear here, we need to create coordinates. We hold down U and left click. If we now connect at the same time to normal bump as well as to diffuse and roughness, then our coordinates will change proportionally. And I will do the following: right-click, multiply, or hold down M and left-click, connect via multiplication. In the next step we need to right-click and select the append vector. I connect this node in multiply to indicator B. Then S, a control parameter, this will be U, control plus W, this will be V. So they are X and Y of our texture coordinates. We connect U to indicator A, then we connect to indicator B. And after that, we connect our small structure by a twig. You can see, simple texture has its own coordinates. So we connect it in right here, but the texture object parameter doesn't have this parameter, U/V. There are no coordinates. However, normal from height map has such a parameter, and here it is, coordinates. That's it. And besides, I forgot to add rotation here. That is, I want to rotate that texture at the same time. How do we do this? The custom rotator will be responsible for this. We set the coordinates as UVs. Next, passing through consistently, we set in multiply a node that is responsible for rotation. That's all. And now, most importantly, default value is set to 0 here, but in order for our coordinates to appear, we need to set the value to 1 for U and V. Good. And now all our textures will work, but we don't have the intensity yet, because it is set to 0 here. Besides the fact that we did not have the coordinates, it just was 0 and no texture applying could take place, we also need to set the value to 1 for the intensity. Then our bump will work. Here it works. But there is one thing which must be made clear. First, I want to say that such material is quite expensive in terms of resource consumption. In my course, I talk about a working way that I use in commercial projects, a way where a bump can be created in other applications. And this option is more optimized. The option that I'm showing you now is a more universal, or, if I may say so, a more lazy way. Okay, actually you can use this one too. And look, one more little thing. When we use normal from height map, we need to go into it twice. And by default, the system is set here 5000. That is, this value makes too much of a shift. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. By default, if my memory serves, the value was set to 5000 here. And you saw such a blue texture here, so it was not as saturated as it is now. This is too much of a shift. What is the consequence? I'm moving here now, and above all, I'll save this. This node, you save it not only for this project, but you save it systemic, for the entire engine. And now, you see that happening. This offset works by default, and this offset wants to work correctly. So let me show this, using the old material that we did before. And now, all this has been applied systemic. You can see that the previously applied material is now being modified. Compilation occurs in the lower right corner. The compilation will be completed now, and you will see that normal bump will not work properly. And again, as I said, by changing the system node in one project, it will change it in all projects in the engine. So you see what we've got. The bump is the color that controls our relief is shifted. In this case, I have empirically determined that 1/10,000th is perfect for our needs. I am saving this now, and you will see then, because we had a shift here, but now we have an exact normal bump. That's it, we decided on this. So we have bump, we have reflect, we have diffuse, and we also have control over these textures. I select the U/V branch and then press C and sign that we have UVW. I'm saving this material now. Next, from the base parent, that is, the parent material, we need to create an instance. It's important to save the structure I showed just the way I showed it. So we have parent and we have instances. Well, now the compilation is complete and we are moving on. We find this material. Here it is, right? In floor remove. And then that's okay with bump now. We are creating an instance from the base parent. Right-click Create Material Instance. We did it. It is generally accepted here to send the M instance or MI. But it doesn't matter, so you can just copy. I usually just copy, but leave the structure. M material, T texture. Here you can rename, but we will not waste time on this now. Anyway, we go to instance. We went to instance. This instance is not configured yet. We are applying it. Okay, we applied it. Now when the material is overlaid, there will be a compilation. And also when switching metalness to glossiness and back for the first time, the compilation will also take place. Now the material is not configured. We'll do that. As you can see, everything is unconventionally located here. Just all is mixed, both scalar parameters and texture options. All is very uncomfortable. Let's go back to our main structure and here we'll change the categories, create our own categories and assign each category to its intended purpose. So the first group will be diffuse. This diffuse group will include, besides the fact that we have now put this variable parameter in the group, since the texture will change, we can also set sort priority to 1. That is, in the group in the instance, in the diffuse category, our texture will be displayed first. The next one will be albedo. Albedo will also join the diffuse group, but it will be the second by structure. The next will be saturation's texture. It will be in the diffuse group as well and will be the third on the list. After that, we go to our reflect. So we select, let's take for example glossiness, or let's start with textures. This will be a group called reflect. The main thing is that the texture should be the first, so it is more convenient, and keep the rest as the line up. We choose here reflect. Metalness also goes to reflect. Roughness goes to reflect too. And roughness intensity goes the same way. That's all, isn't it? If we forgot some of them, for example, I didn't include metallic and specular in the group on purpose, so that later we will see that in the instance they will stand separately in scalar parameters. So now here we need to select bump texture. Relief groups, and here we also need to do it within the meaning as before. Bump, sort priority, let it be the first. Intensity will also be bump. Bump intensity, there will also be bump. And here sort priority doesn't matter. And next, we have also a U/V group. So for U now we take custom rotator. First of all we have there, by the way, custom rotator, and this is an important point, I forgot about the control parameter there. We will have rotation UVW here, right? We link the branch here, in rotation angle. So here is a hint for you. There will be rotation from 0 to 1. I mean 0 and 1 are the equal values, as I have told in the first part of the video, so they will be in the first part of the lesson. So a 0 value means that the texture applied as it is. As for the value of 1, the changes will not be seen because it is a turn of 360 degrees. 0.125 is 45 degrees. 0.25 is 90 degrees. 0.5 is 180 degrees. So 0.125, this will be a 45-degree rotation. So now you'll see how it works. That's all. We put the rotation and choose everything here. We have not created it yet. This is the UVW. By the way, let's just like in the example with rotation, we will sign that for the description. And let it be the first in the list. The description will be like this. Change between 0 to 1. And here for diffuse texture, let's sign in the description. For example, change your diffuse map. That's all. Do you see? A hint pops up here. If anything, our colleagues will be able to open it at any time and will know what and where to change and what is responsible for what. I set UVW map for you here. There is also a group called UVW map, and I also want to show we have glossiness, and for it we can set not a zero value, but a default value. 0.5 tenth is a standard value which we will not even change. But there is a slider minimum and a slider maximum here. That is, there will be a minimum from 0, and the maximum will be limited to 1. It makes no sense for us to change anymore. This will not affect any parameters, so that the person who later opens the material doesn't set the value more than 1. Now we save it, everything is ready. Let's go to instance and check it out. You see, I deliberately left the scalar parameters metallic and specular, and the group without naming was created separately here. So we go to metallic and indicate that this will be reflect. Specular will also be reflect, then we save it again. And this unnamed group of scalar parameters will disappear and these two parameters will be moved to the desired category. That's all. Now let's see and check. So we have bump, diffuse, reflect and UVW separately. That's right. For convenience, I'll put it like this. So in bump, as you can see, we can change the texture. In diffuse and reflect, we can also change the texture. Thus, at any time, we can replace the textures with those textures that we need. Now, bump. Let's start with albedo. I would like to make it a little lighter. You see, we make lighter, but the texture becomes brighter. So we compensate, desaturate our texture. Then I turn on roughness intensity. I'm increasing the value, but nothing will happen until we turn on the specular. We turn on specular and the reflection for dielectrics start working right away. We have metallic, this is a reflection for dielectrics. You can add a little metalness to non-metallic materials. Now let's take contrast. I add contrast here and our texture becomes contrasting. Now I will turn off metallic. Our texture becomes more contrasting and here with the help of intensity, we can show our streaks less or more. Let's set a bigger value for the bump until the bump shows up. You see, our seams are showing, but the texture is too huge. I'll set, for example, 3.0 here for U, and here independently I'll set 2.0 for V. Do you see? It scales disproportionately now. If you want to make it proportionally, just set two of the same values and everything will work. Rotation. I want to rotate 180 degrees, so I'll set it to 0.5. Do you see? Our texture has been mirrored. If you need to rotate 45 degrees, then set it to 0.25. If it is necessary, now it has turned 90 degrees, but we want to rotate it 45 degrees. Then it is needed to set to 0.125. As you can see, our textures are at an angle now. Next, can you see this? We have a check mark next to metalness here. The first time there will be a compilation, but then this structure will be easy to switch on and off here. Now it will take a few seconds to compile. There it is, and we press a second time to compile this parameter. Okay, so what's going on here? Look, when we turn on metalness, glossiness disappears. Do you see it? And conversely, turn off metalness and glossiness instantly appears here. And now let's play with these parameters. What do we want to achieve by this? Here we have the usual glossiness. And here we have metalness. Choose the material that suits you best, the parameter that will work for you. And here I want to make even less material, so we'll reduce our textures by half and continue. Now I want to change, for example, the intensity. Look, so the intensity will be higher or lower. And the contrast can be changed in the same way. When you increase or decrease the contrast here, the streaks start to disappear or conversely appear. Specular is the power of reflections, and now I can turn on metalness. At the same time, glossiness will now disappear. It's gone, right? And now we will set the parameters in such a way so that we have an effect. And it will be opposite, the opposite effect. Here, you see this? Now here it is. And now this parameter, the reflection of the streaks, we will change to inverting. Here we uncheck the box and glossiness turns on. And we take a screenshot. As you can see, we control the reflection, which means that our streaks will either be reflected in this way, or they will be inverted. Choose for your own material. Let's go back to the material and turn off the unnecessary. Albedo can be made darker or lighter, as you wish. And once again I show when we turn on metalness, glossiness turns off, and we start specifying our parameters for glossiness. And empirically, we achieve the desired result. We are making glossiness lower. Now once again, we turn it off. Glossiness appeared. And by the way, let's turn on glossiness right now. By default, we have set 0.5. And we can switch like this too. Do you see? We can also influence the nature of reflections. Thus, you can create any material in a completely universal way. It can be solid, opaque, not the subsurface, but simply relative to the wood, relative to the materials of the wall and brick. As for a brick, displacement will need to be added, for example. In general, if you liked this video, put a thumbs up if you are interested in the topic of complex materials. Write about it in the comments. I will continue to reveal this topic. So support the channel, like it, share with your friends. That's all, bye everyone.